Okay, so I was watching a video from Nexus Wargaming. Definitely check out his video. I'll see if I can get the link in there at the top if I could figure out how to use YouTube properly. But he was talking about this survey here and comparing it to the previous survey, saying that there was quite a few more people, 1,400 responses, and now it's 1,600, so it went up by 200. And the numbers are bearing that out. Everything is growing. But there are certain key things that he pointed out in the numbers here that's happening. He mentioned that the previous survey there was growth, and it was mainly people that were into 40K. These were 40K players with 40K models coming into the community and playing Grimdark Future primarily. Grimdark Future Firefight. Um, I, he didn't mention. I don't think he mentioned, but I got the impression they were more competitive based, more um, more about conventions and so forth. And I think that's what got him excited on the previous one because he is that type of player, from my understanding. He is more of from the 40K crowd, has 40K or Games Workshop models, and likes tournaments, wants to play tournaments, wants to play, uh, go to conventions and so forth. And what's interesting is that the numbers that he pointed out show a very different type of person that's coming in that I think reflected me at least a year ago, I would say. So let's take a quick look at what's going on here. First, the newsletter and the Patreon have gained tremendous growth. They went up quite a few percentage points. Newsletter went from 29.3 to 37, which is amazing growth. Patreon, same deal, went up almost 7 points. Discord went down quite a bit, even though it's still growing. Percentage-wise, it went from 61 to 56, so you're looking at about a 5 point drop. So people are getting their information, their content from the newsletter and Patreon. I don't know what that reflects. I'm guessing this is how people heard about it. And they signed up for probably free models or whatever, and they're getting their information from these two sources. That's the main thing about this section right here. Which OPR games do you play? He mentioned that Firefight saw the biggest growth, Grimdark Future Firefight, and that makes a lot of sense to me because if the people that are coming in are not people that had Games Workshop models, they're starting new, or they got rid of their stuff, they're going to start small. And so Firefight makes a lot of sense that these new people that came in, they're playing the smaller, easier to learn, easier to play, less things to keep track of, and basically dipping their toe in the water. Um, for me personally, I think, yeah, I like the fantasy just as much as I do the sci-fi. It really depends on my mood of the day, but I really enjoy both genres very much. But you can see here, sci-fi is still dominating. People like to play the sci-fi more. One thing he did also point out was that regiments had some very good growth. People are looking at the regiments. Um, After I realized that they changed a couple rules, I've been playing some practice games solo, and I'm just having a blast. They are a lot of fun. I know it's going to be 10 times more fun when I get a physical opponent in front of me, but I do think this game is much more viable now to play. It's not as fun. You do have to understand a couple things. You can't throw down as much terrain as you normally do for Age of Fantasy or Grimdark Future. You have to be a little bit more judicious with your terrain placement and terrain choices. But I do think it's a very viable system now. I like it a lot. It is very elegant. So that went up a little bit. the firefight went up even more. Grimdark Future held its own. It's growing at a normal clip, and I think that's probably because these people that are doing firefight, they're going to spill eventually into the bigger game. Skirmish is fun, especially if you're getting people and new people involved, just so they can dip their toe in. But ultimately, I think people are just going to start spilling into the main game. Um, how often do you play OPR games? I think he mentioned that it's kind of leveling off in more of the median range. Um, let's see. So 3 times a week. I don't know what the numbers are there. That's very small. Looks like it went down. 1 to 2 times a week. Looks like it stayed about the same. Um, nope, went down. 3 times a month. They don't have it listed here. Looks about the same. 1 to 2 times a month went down. It's the 3 times every few months. That saw growth. Everything else looks like it went down for the most part. Um, I don't even know. I can't. I'm not colorblind, but I really don't know. Is this 1 to 2 times a week? I mean, stop using similar colors, guys. It's got green, green, red. Okay. Anyway, pass on that one. Where do you play OPR games? Here's something that was pointed out that I thought was very interesting, is that at home saw growth, or at a friend's house. I really do think that um, after the lockdowns, people start going into the stores. The Games Workshop people went back in, and now things have leveled off, I think. And what makes sense to me, this is my interpretation, is that the people that are playing are talking to other people and inviting them over to their house and showing them how to play, and people are getting into it because it's strict word of mouth. It's not because they're getting into communal areas. It is because people are talking to each other. They're getting out more. They're doing more things. They're at a restaurant or at a bar or at a bus stop or something. They strike up a conversation with somebody, and now they're getting that person involved, and they got a new friend, or it's an old friend that they say, hey, you might want to check out this game. And so they're doing it at their own house, and these are casual players that just want to have something to do, and they like this hobby. And that's the second part about this, is that when you look at this list right here, they want to do casual games. So it went from 85 to 87, so that saw growth, even more growth. Local hobby painting. Painting went up. Local tournaments, competitive, went down. Conventional, going to a conventional, having casual, went a little bit down. Convention tournaments, that stayed about the same. Convention hobby painting went up. So I also think that a lot of the people that are getting involved, they want to model, they want to paint, they want to do the art stuff that is not necessarily gaming. Gaming is a bonus, but I think there's a lot of people that just want to make some nice models, some things for decoration, I guess, or maybe for Dungeons and Dragons, or I don't know. But definitely there's a higher interest in the painting that I'm seeing here in the numbers. Now over here they're talking about what minis do you have, and Nexus talked about that the 3D printed miniatures. So the physical Warhammer miniatures went from 63 to 59, went down quite a bit, and the OPR 3D miniatures self-printed went up quite a bit. So this again tells me that the new people that are coming in, they're printing their own models, they are painting models. That's what they're really interested in. And if they can play a casual game and just hang out and have fun with friends, that's what they want to do. It sounds like they want to play people they know. So it's nice to go to a store and meet new people, But you know, sometimes I would think that people that are really interested in, they, I don't know, maybe they have social anxiety. They just want to play with people they know. It is kind of intimidating, at least for me, to go to a store and try to meet new people. It's not an easy thing to do. It doesn't come easy to a lot of people, and so I think you're seeing those people that were on the fringes. They maybe they got out of a Games Workshop. They sold their models. They just said, I can't keep up. I can't keep buying all these books and everything. And now they're being told by their friends. It just makes sense to me that the Games Workshop people who were still playing games, they have the Games Workshop models and they've switched over to OPR, and they're telling maybe people that they used to play with that just, they couldn't keep going, told them about OPR, and they're like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Or a friend that, saw, well, this is just too much. I need a PhD to play this game. Look at the size of that rule booklet. I don't have time for that. And now they're able to bring this game, the OPR game, to these people that are more casual about playing. And so you're seeing a shift. And I think it goes in cycles and waves where you get people that are really dedicated no matter what. They're going to have models, they're going to model, they're going to play, they're going to be competitive. And then those people bring in the more casual, the people that just want, they don't want to get too much into it. And then when you see more of those people get into it, and the community grows, and the people that are Games Workshop, they come in. So I think it's just a cycle. I wouldn't be surprised if next year we see more Games Workshop type people come into the OPR community, and we see a decline in the people that get the 3D, that are making their 3D printing. But I think this is going to go up no matter what. It just makes sense. People are starting to realize, like myself. I wonder if I'm kind of in that range, or I used to be in that range, where I'm realizing that printing your own stuff is not as hard, or not as dangerous, hopefully, that as I thought it was. And so it's been a great part of the hobby to do my own 3D printing, and I think more and more people are realizing that too. Um, they talk here about how to usually buy your physical miniatures, and they said online. This is this has always been the debate. I think Mini Wargaming talked about it, that they were on very early on the online store, and all these companies were trying to stop them, and that was a big mistake. They took away a lot of sales that they could have had. They could have really boosted the miniature economy if they had embraced it earlier. But yeah, I'm getting you know, the I'm getting the sense that people are, uh, this survey reflects where I was about a year ago, where I wanted a game that um, I wasn't, if I stopped getting OPR stuff today, or if I stopped getting Games Workshop stuff today, would I still be able to play it with somebody 2 years from now? Take my models off the shelf or out of the box and still know what's going on for the most part. I could quickly check the rules, quickly check the website for my army rules, and it's a very shallow learning curve to get back into it. And is it going to break the bank? Am I going to have to keep getting more and more stuff, more and more equipment, more and more books, more and more whatever that I don't want? Am I going to be able to play more than one army? If you play Games Workshop, unless you're super rich, you're just going to play one army. Unless you're playing the skirmish. And yeah, so I think a lot of people are these new people that are coming in now. They were the type of player that I was about a year ago. Now I'm starting to transition more into I like the hobby of painting. Um, I'm getting into the lore more. I feel more comfortable with the rules. Um, and I'm ready to branch out and go to conventions, go to tournaments, whatever, and meet people that I probably won't be able to play with, but maybe once a year at a particular convention, and that's okay by me. I'm in that zone now. But I feel like these new people that are coming in, they came in pretty much with the same attitude that I came in with. So let's take a look at the armies here. Alien Hives did see a huge growth here. Battle Brothers went down a little bit, but I think that's to be expected, because the people that are coming in, they, you're, this is my interpretation. They want to get an army that OPR is offering. They want to get the subscription, and they want to be able to build up an army with that subscription, and here's the thing, this is where I think my understanding of where I was about a year ago. When I first started, I wanted to get to a full army quickly and as cheaply as possible. And so one thing I think Nexus missed here is the Jackals. The Jackals saw a little bit of growth here. You would think they would go down, that they're not a very good army, from what I understand, very difficult to play. They are just, nobody really mentions them, but yet we see about, about 44 people more are playing Jackals. Meanwhile, Battle Brothers, they saw what, 70 increase. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like, but so many people play Battle Brothers and have Space Marine models, but the Jackals did seem to get a little bit of a boost, a tiny little boost, and I do think that's because you can go to the website. If you have that 70% discount, you can get a full army right away. It's an easy entry. They're also, in my opinion, pretty easy to paint. You got fur, you got sand. Uh, they're not easy to print, but I think they're easy to paint. If you have a resin printer, you're good to go there. Uh, Blessed Sisters went down. Let's see. Custodial Brothers, check it out, went down. This is Games Workshop attrition here, that they're not going down in the amount of people. They went up just slightly, but the percentage went down because more people are getting into the hobby, and they're starting to outpace things like Custodian Brothers. Dow went up. That's interesting. I can't explain that. Dark Elf Raiders, can't explain how that went up as well. Pretty good clip. Dwarf Guilds, they went down slightly, percentage-wise. Of course, they went up. And that's interesting to me because that's a recent army, easy to print. If you have an FDM printer, that's an easy one. So I would have thought that they would have more appeal, but they don't. I don't know. Maybe people don't like dwarves. Elven Jesters went up. Eternal Dynasty went up. That's another one that is not that expensive to get into. You get 2 army packs, I think, and you've got all the STLs. There's probably a couple. I mean, if you get Onis, you get a couple of Onis, a Captain Oni, and the Oni STLs. You can make yourself an Oni army, and you're good to go. Easy to print, easy to paint, and you're on your way. So that makes sense to me. But one thing I should remember is that people are getting into the skirmish game. Is that why Dow? Maybe people are getting Eternal Dynasty and just playing Dow as well. Um, yeah, Dwarf Guilds. I don't know if they're very good on the skirmish. Alien Hives. I don't know. Anyway, High Elf Fleets, they went down. Nexus was talking about they're just not a very good army. I don't know. I play the high elf fleets. Yeah, they're not an OP army or anything. A stretch of man. I think if they fix their spells, they suddenly become a viable army. But I heard that's not going to happen until September. Anyway, Human Defense Force absolutely exploded. And that makes sense because that's the current army coming out. If all these people are coming in, this is the army that they're getting. Maybe people were just waiting for it. I have one theory. Tell me if I'm way off base here, but you have humans and aliens going up a lot. Are we seeing like some Sigourney Weaver fans, aliens, where you got humans versus aliens, humans versus bugs? What was that other one? The one that came out in the 90s. What was the name of that? Starship Troopers, Halo. You know, I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of appeal. People always poo-poo human models, and then here we are with a huge outburst of people playing Human Defense Force. Inquisition went up. Infected colonies went down a little bit. Like I said, Jackal's got a tiny, tiny boost. Machine Cult went up a little bit. It seems like everybody went up. Orc Marauders, get ready. When those Marauders come out, I expect to see the same type of growth. Um, it just seems like there's so many people that want to play orcs. So it'll be interesting to see what their orcs look like. If they're anything remotely good, I think it's going to be huge. But we'll see. Prime Brothers, they went up a little bit. Ratman went up. Everybody, how can everybody go up? Rebel Girls went down slightly. Siren Starhost went up. Oh, hold on a sec. Robot Legions went up. Sauron's went up. Even better. So who went down? Snow Soul Snatchers went down. Titan Lords went down. Wormhole Demons went up. Other went down. I guess we took some other, but yeah, it seems like everybody went up except for the high elf fleets were the big losers in this particular one. But yeah, the aliens versus humans, that's really interesting because those had big bursts. So I wonder if that had something to do with the type of movies that we watched. Maybe it's Generation X people. Maybe it's people that were fans of all these humans versus bugs movies and shows. All right, so we've got fantasy now. Beastmen. I have a theory about the Beastmen. It's another army that's fairly easy to acquire monetarily and easy to paint. Chivalrous Kingdom stayed about the same. Dark Elves stayed about the same. Deep Sea Elves saw a boost. That's interesting. Duchies of Vinci, that makes sense. That's a pretty big boost. And they did not only a special where you can get all the models, but then they did the book for lore. So people are getting into the lore, and they're seeing a boost here. People playing Duchies of Vinci. That's got to resonate with the people that are looking at this data. They're looking and say, hey, people want to play armies with lore. People want to play armies that are involved in campaigns. I think it was Secrets of Tishal. Actually, I think the Secrets of Tishal came out before this survey, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I got to check. But the lore book came out, and look at the big difference. So campaigns probably give them a boost, but the lore book gives it an even bigger boost. That's the way I'm reading it. Then we've got dwarves. They haven't come out with their dwarves yet, and they're about the same. Eternal Wardens are about the same. Ghostly Undead went down. Giant Tribes went up a little bit. Goblins went up. And they're going to come after the... Oh, wait, no, that's sci-fi, excuse me. Guilds of Nexus. I don't even know what that is. Halflings. Halflings stayed about the same. Havoc Dwarves saw a boost. Havoc Warriors went down a little bit. That's interesting. High elves, they went up. And I wonder if that's White Angel, the White Angel effect, the Beholder miniatures. There's some companies out there. Um, was it Mountain Miniatures? I can never remember. It really drives me crazy. But they make models that look almost exactly like GW models, and they are doing their high elves, so I can see that getting a boost. Human Empire has been holding. They dropped a little bit. That they're starting to become one of the older. This is probably the oldest big army that they got, and it's starting to go down. But I have to imagine they're going to come out with a lore book, and they're going to get a boost. Kingdom of Angels got a boost. That's interesting. Mummified Undead got a boost. Ogres got a boost. Oh, man, who went down? Orcs got a boost. Ossified Undead got a boost. Everybody's going up. So who went down? Ratman went up a little bit. Rift Demons went up a little bit. Saurons went down a little bit. Shadow Stalkers went down a little bit. I I feel bad about the Shadow Stalkers. They are for me. I thought they were very easy to paint, very easy to print. They just don't speak to me, and I guess they're not speaking to a lot of new people as well. Well, they went up a little bit. No, I take that back. They went up a little bit. Sky City Dwarves went up a little bit. Vampiric Undead stayed about the same. Yeah, so actually they went down a tenth of a percent. So Vampiric Undead, that's the second army that came after the Human Empire, and they're not really seeing much growth there. Volcanic Dwarves, a little bit of growth. Wood Elves, huge growth. Check it out. They went from 12.5 to 29.6. So they made a good decision in bringing the Wood Elves in. They're starting to compete with these top armies here, Saurons and Vampiric Undead. Are they number 3? Yeah, they're number 3. They even beat out the Ratmen. So they are now the number 3 army. Saurons are just going to be there forever, possibly even Vampiric Undead. But now the Wood Elves are challenging. We'll see. I think it really depends on a lot of these other models that are coming out. They may unseat these two. And then we got other. So War Fleets we're going to skip. And the Quest, doing better. Like all that stuff. So yeah, so that's my take on it. I think the people that are coming in are very different from the people that came in on the last survey result. They you went from more of a store-based tournament, competitive, already have the models or get the models from a store, GW, and now you're starting to see a shift, at least temporarily, to the more casual, friendly, gather at somebody's house type of player that wants to paint more, that wants to print more, and we'll see if that trend continues. I think it will. I think as more and more people become aware of how awesome 3D printing is, how much cheaper in the long run. If you just want to play skirmish games, you just want to play a few, one army, and just go to a tournament or whatever every now and then, or the store once a month and play a game. Yeah, that's you buy your models from the store. But if you're more like me that would like to eventually get multiple armies, especially and then here's where OPR has a huge advantage because of this trend where people are printing their armies and they are getting multiple armies now in their collection. And if a model breaks, if somebody comes over and snaps your model in half, you just print out another one. Not really a big deal. It's a deal, but it's not a big deal. So they're going to be more apt to bringing people over and say, hey, you don't have to buy any models. You can just come in and play with my models, and we can just enjoy the game and have fun and learn how to play. And I think once people get the itch, once they see this game, a lot of people are joining OPR, and I think it's going to continue. I think it's going to multiply in this trend with the 3D printing, with the OPR subscription model that they have. So much better than what stores are offering. I know OPR is looking to make manufactured models and get into stores, and I think that's great. Anything that helps OPR, helps the community, helps this thing grow, I'm totally for it. However, I think that the real future is the 3D printing, and I really would like to see some sort of effort be made where the store owners get a license to print the OPR models. That's I think a lot of these owners don't know much about 3D printing and really don't care to. They're of a different mindset and a different business acumen. But I really do foresee a world where you go to a store and you say, "Hey, look, um, I want to buy some Battle Sisters. Do you have any?" And they say, "No, but we can just come back later today or tomorrow, and we'll have them for you." And so it's not totally instant gratification, but it's pretty close. It's close enough. Because a lot of stores that I go to, you say, well, I'd like to get, so-and-so models. Okay, we'll put in an order for you. 2 weeks later, hey, did they come in? No. No, the order just went through. They should be arriving next week or something. And maybe it comes and maybe it doesn't. And maybe your experience is totally different than mine. But it just seems like that's the reality. And it kind of pushes people, as we saw in the survey, that they're going to go online and they're going to buy it from eBay or Amazon or the web store for Games Workshop or whoever, and that's how they're going to get their models. They're not going to go to the store. And I feel for the stores because they can't keep an inventory that's huge, and the Games Workshop, these manufacturers, they kind of punish the small stores if they don't order enough stuff. If they're not big enough, then they have to pay more for shipping or something. This is the vibe I'm getting. Maybe I'm totally off base, but you don't have to have that inventory if you are 3D printing. The only inventory you have is the resin and the 3D printer. So if somebody suddenly wants to get Ratman, you don't have to go and order it, or you don't have to keep it on the shelf hoping that somebody's going to get Ratman. You can custom your order and have it ready within hours or within a day. If somebody has their act together, they should be able to get it done that day. Honestly, I would say come back tomorrow. I'll have it all cleaned up for you, ready to go, and you will have your models. That's how I would. If I had a business like that, that's how I would do it. So I really do think that that's the shift. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but I feel like it's coming. So tell me in the comments if you think I'm way off base here. I know I've been rambling for a while, but there was a couple things that stuck out in my mind as I was watching Nexus Wargaming's video. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.